One shot, one kill, the Vlek commander muttered, his tendrils quivering in dismay. How can any species be so precise? On the barren planet of Crux 4, under the dim light of 3 distant stars, the coalition of free species huddled together in a war council. The war had been going well until the humans joined the fray. Now, a new nightmare haunted the coalition's ranks, the human sniper. Perhaps we underestimated them. The Tauran general, towering mass of hardened scales, grumbled. His voice rumbled like distant thunder, carrying the weight of every defeat his forces had suffered at the hands of these mysterious human marksmen. Underestimated. The Vlek commander's voice was almost a hiss, his slit pupil eyes narrowing. We didn't understand them at all. What kind of soldier kills from such a distance? It's dishonorable. Another alien, smaller in stature, but with eyes that flickered like a dying star, interjected. It's not just the distance. They kill without warning, without a chance for us to even see them. By the time we know where they are, it's too late. There was a murmur of agreement among the council. The room, filled with beings of various shapes and sizes, bore the scars of recent conflicts. None could claim to have seen a human sniper and live to tell the tale. Their only knowledge came from the aftermath. Comrades dropped in their tracks, casualties counted in seconds. We need to do something, the Tauran general insisted, slamming a fist down onto the metal table. The force of the impact made the holographic map of the battlefield flicker. We can't continue to fight an enemy we can't see. Perhaps a cold, mechanical voice cut through the murmurs. It belonged to an artificial intelligence unit, sleek and angular, floating above the group. Perhaps it is not the humans we should fear, but their methods. The room fell silent, all eyes and sensory organs turning towards the AI. It had been a silent observer until now, its input often viewed as too clinical, too detached from the organic realities of war. But now, in the face of an unseen enemy, its insight was sought. They have adapted to a form of warfare that prioritizes efficiency over engagement, the AI continued. For humans, victory is not about the battle, but about the elimination of the target. They are predators, hunters who take pride in their ability to end life with minimal effort. The word predator hung in the air, its implications clear. In the wilds of many worlds, predators are the most feared creatures, beings that can kill without hesitation, without remorse. For the first time, the coalition realized they were not fighting a traditional army. They were facing hunters, and they were the prey. Then how do we fight back? The Vlek commander's voice was almost desperate, his usual confidence shaken. How do we stop them? We can't fight them the way we fought others, the AI responded. We need to change our approach. We must become unpredictable, force them into situations where their precision is meaningless. We need to find a way to draw them out, expose them to our strengths. Or, a voice from the back of the room suggested, we could lure them into traps, make them think they have the advantage, then strike when they least expect it. The idea sparked a discussion, strategies and counter-strategies flying back and forth. But as the council debated, one thing became increasingly clear. The humans had already won in one respect. They had instilled fear, a fear that now threatened to paralyze the coalition's efforts. Meanwhile, far from the war council, high on a ridge overlooking the battlefield, a lone figure lay prone, his body camouflaged against the rocky terrain. Through the scope of his rifle, he watched the movements of the enemy below. They were setting up defensive positions, their movements hurried and erratic. They knew he was out here somewhere, but they had no idea where. A slow, deliberate breath. The sniper's finger tightened on the trigger. Not enough to fire, but just enough to feel the cool metal under his skin. His heart rate was steady, his mind clear. He was in no rush. Patience was the key. He could wait for hours, days even, for the perfect shot. And when it came, he would take it with no more thought than one might give to swatting a fly. But for now, he waited, watched, and listened. He was just one of many, scattered across the landscape, each one a ghost in the machine of war. No one knew his name, and no one ever would. His existence was defined by a simple creed: see without being seen, kill without being killed. Back at the War Council, the discussions were growing more heated. The coalition leaders were desperate, grasping at any strategy that might give them an edge. But deep down, they all knew the truth. They were facing an enemy they didn't understand, one that seemed to defy all the rules of engagement they had known. And on the ridge, the sniper waited, his eyes never leaving the battlefield below. He had all the time in the world, and when the moment came, he would strike. And another enemy of humanity would fall, wondering in their final moments why they had ever dared to face such a foe. "Another one bites the dust," muttered the sniper as he observed the aftermath through his scope. The alien soldier crumpled to the ground, lifeless, the others scrambling in panic. He knew the effect this would have on them. More paranoia, more fear. They were already terrified, and it showed in every jerky movement, every cautious step they took. He didn't need to hear their panicked chatter to understand. It was the same in every battle. The coalition forces were unraveling, their confidence eroding with each shot. A single sniper could decimate their morale, and there were dozens of snipers just like him across the planet, all with the same mission, to sow fear and confusion. Down below, the coalition troops were in disarray. Their commanders were barking orders, trying to restore some semblance of order, but it was clear that fear had taken root. The Tauran general, the one the sniper had been watching for the past hour, seemed especially tense. His heavy frame moved with uncharacteristic haste, and his eyes darted from side to side, as if expecting death to come from every shadow. The sniper knew that feeling well. He had seen it before in countless engagements, in soldiers far more disciplined than these. It was a universal truth in war. Fear was the greatest enemy, and right now the coalition was drowning in it. Moving to new position, the sniper whispered into his comms, his voice barely audible over the wind that swept across the ridge. There was no need for a reply. His spotter, hidden somewhere in the rocks behind him, would pick up the message. Together, they had a silent understanding, a partnership forged in the heat of countless battles. They didn't need words to communicate. Each knew what the other would do without asking. Carefully, the sniper began to crawl backward, his movements slow and deliberate. Every inch of ground was painstakingly covered, avoiding any sudden motions that might give away his position. He had been in this spot for hours, and now it was time to relocate. A good sniper never stayed in one place too long. To do so was to invite death. As he moved, he couldn't help but reflect on the coalition's efforts to counter them. Traps had been set, ambushes laid, but none of it mattered. The snipers were always a step ahead, always one shot away from turning the tide. The enemy was learning, adapting, but it was a slow process, and every mistake they made was costly. The sniper reached a small depression in the ground, barely large enough to conceal a person. He settled into it, adjusting his camouflage to blend with the surroundings. From this new vantage point, he had a clear view of a different section of the battlefield. The coalition forces were fortifying their positions, setting up makeshift barriers and deploying automated defenses. It was a futile effort, but he understood why they did it. In war, even the illusion of safety was better than none. His rifle was already in position, the scope trained on a cluster of alien soldiers near a damaged transport. They were busy repairing it, oblivious to the death that watched from above. The sniper exhaled slowly, calming his mind, focusing only on the target. This was the moment he lived for, the brief instant where everything else faded away, and there was only him, the rifle, and the enemy. But something caught his eye, a flash of movement in the distance, too quick to be one of the coalition's clumsy maneuvers. He shifted his aim slightly, scanning the horizon. There, among the rocks, he saw them, a group of figures moving with a precision that was unlike the panicked soldiers below. They were advancing quietly, using the terrain for cover, their weapons at the ready. These weren't ordinary troops. They were something else, something more dangerous. The sniper's instincts flared. These were hunters, sent to take him out. He hadn't anticipated this. The coalition had finally figured out that they couldn't win by conventional means, so they had sent their best, their elite, to hunt down the human snipers. It was a bold move, and if he were anyone else, he might have admired the strategy. But admiration had no place on the battlefield, and he knew what he had to do. The sniper steadied his breathing, adjusting his position ever so slightly to get a better angle. He counted 3 of them, all moving in a tight formation. They were skilled, that much was clear. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated him. His first shot was quick, precise. The lead hunter went down without a sound, a neat hole punched through the visor of his helmet. The other 2 reacted instantly, diving for cover, but it was too late. The sniper had already shifted his aim, tracking their movements. The second shot was almost an afterthought, dropping another hunter before he could even raise his weapon. The last one was smart, though. Instead of trying to fight, he turned and ran, zigzagging across the rocky terrain. The sniper watched him go, his finger poised on the trigger. He could have taken a shot, ended it right there, but he hesitated. For a moment, just a moment, he wanted the hunter to escape, to go back and tell his commanders what had happened here. Let them know that their best weren't good enough, that the humans were still the masters of this battlefield. But that moment passed, and with a sigh, the sniper squeezed the trigger one last time. The fleeing hunter stumbled, fell, and did not rise again. The sniper watched the body for a while, then turned his attention back to the battlefield below. There were more targets to be found, more enemies to eliminate. He adjusted his scope, searching for his next mark. The coalition was getting desperate, and desperation made for easy kills. It wouldn't be long before they sent more hunters, and he would be ready. He was always ready, for he was a sniper, a ghost in the machine of war, and his mission was far from over. In the heart of the coalition command center, the Tauran general stared at the tactical map with growing frustration. "We've lost contact with another team," he growled, slamming a fist onto the console. The table shuddered under his weight, and the holographic map flickered. "Our best hunters, and they were wiped out without so much as a warning shot." The Vlek commander was unusually quiet, his tendrils still in contemplation. "The humans have proven to be more cunning than we anticipated. They're snipers. They aren't just soldiers. They're artists of death. Artists or not, we can't keep throwing lives away." The general snapped, his voice a rumbling growl. "We need a new plan." The AI, hovering silently nearby, spoke up. "The humans rely on stealth and surprise. But even the most skilled hunter can be trapped. I propose we use their tactics against them." The Vlek commander's eyes narrowed, his slit pupils widening. "A trap?" "Yes," the AI replied. "We create an opportunity too good for them to resist. An ambush disguised as a vulnerable target." The Tauran general nodded slowly, his gaze still fixed on the map. "We can make it look like we're reinforcing a weak point. Leave just enough defenses to make it believable, but pull back our main forces. When they move in to exploit it, we spring the trap." "How do we ensure they take the bait?" the Vlek commander asked, skepticism creeping into his voice. "They are hunters," the AI answered. "Hunters are drawn to prey. We'll make sure there's enough activity to catch their attention, false signals, movement, just enough to make it seem like a ripe opportunity. And when they engage, we close the net." The room fell silent as the plan sank in. It was risky, but it was the best chance they had to turn the tide. The coalition had tried fighting the humans on their terms and failed. Now it was time to change the rules of the game. The Tauran general looked up from the map, a grim determination in his eyes. "Let's set the trap." High on a ridge overlooking the battlefield, the sniper adjusted his scope. He'd been watching the coalition's movements for hours, noting every shift in their defenses, every change in their patterns. Something was different today. They were reinforcing a sector that had been lightly defended for weeks. It was an odd choice, one that caught his attention immediately. "Command, this is Bravo 7, he whispered into his comms. Noticing unusual activity in Grid Delta 9, coalition forces are moving reinforcements into position. Requesting permission to investigate." A crackle of static, then a calm, measured voice replied, "Permission granted, Bravo 7. Proceed with caution." The sniper acknowledged the order and began moving, crawling silently across the rocky ground. He knew better than to approach directly. The coalition might be sloppy in some areas, but they were learning. He kept low, using every bit of cover to his advantage, until he reached a small outcropping that gave him a better view of the target area. He peered through his scope, scanning the area. The coalition soldiers were busy setting up fortifications, deploying automated defenses, but something felt off. It was too obvious, too well defended for such a minor position. The sniper's instincts flared. A trap, perhaps? But if it was a bold one. "Bravo 7 to command," he whispered again. "Something doesn't feel right about this setup. Requesting recon support for a closer look." "Affirmative, Bravo 7. Recon drone inbound to your location. ETA 2 minutes." The sniper settled in, watching the scene below. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was a setup, but he needed more information. The drone would provide that, scanning the area for hidden threats, detecting any electronic signatures that might indicate a trap. 2 minutes later, a small, nearly silent drone buzzed overhead, its sensors sweeping the ground below. The sniper watched its data feed on his heads-up display, waiting for any sign of trouble. "Bravo 7, this is recon. No signs of hidden forces or traps in the area. Coalition forces appear to be standard infantry and support units." The sniper frowned. He trusted his instincts, but the data was clear. Whatever the coalition was up to, it didn't seem to be a trap. Still, he would proceed with caution. Copy that, recon. Maintaining observation, he replied, keeping his rifle trained on the area. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the sniper made his move. He slid down the ridge, moving silently through the gathering darkness. His eyes never left the target, his senses alert for any sign of danger. He reached the edge of the coalition's perimeter, pausing to scan for any hidden defenses. Finding none, he moved closer, creeping through the rocks and debris until he was within striking distance. He found a vantage point among the rocks and settled in, his rifle trained on a group of soldiers gathered around a command post. They were relaxed, chatting casually, oblivious to the danger lurking nearby. The sniper's finger hovered over the trigger. One shot, and he could take out their commander, throw the entire operation into chaos. But something held him back. He needed to be sure, needed to know what the coalition was up to. He activated his comms, sending a coded signal to his spotter. A moment later, a faint rustle of movement to his left told him the spotter was in position, ready to provide backup if needed. The sniper took a deep breath, steadying his aim. He watched the soldiers below, waiting for the right moment to strike. Then, with a sudden flash of insight, he realized what was wrong. The soldiers weren't behaving like they were on high alert. They were too relaxed, too comfortable. This wasn't a genuine defensive position. It was a distraction, a lure to draw him in. But before he could react, the ground around him erupted in a hail of gunfire. Coalition soldiers sprang from hidden positions, their weapons blazing. The sniper rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding a burst of plasma fire that scorched the ground where he'd been lying. He fired back, taking out two of the attackers, but there were too many of them. He needed to move, and fast. He scrambled to his feet, sprinting for cover as bullets and plasma bolts whizzed past. Bravo 7, fall back. Repeat, fall back. The voice of his commander crackled in his ear. The sniper ducked behind a boulder, his mind racing. He was pinned down, cut off from his spotter, and surrounded. He needed a plan, and he needed it now. The sniper crouched behind the boulder, his mind working frantically. The coalition forces were closing in, their shots coming closer with each passing second. He could hear them shouting to each other, coordinating their attack. He needed to think fast. He glanced around, spotting a narrow crevice in the rocks a few meters to his left. It wasn't much, but it might be enough to buy him some time. He took a deep breath, then bolted for the crevice, diving into the narrow opening just as a plasma bolt exploded behind him. The blast sent a shower of rock and dirt into the air, but he was safe for the moment. He crawled deeper into the crevice, the tight space barely allowing him to move. He could hear the coalition soldiers searching for him, their voices growing louder as they approached. He reached the end of the crevice, finding himself in a small hollow just big enough to crouch in. He pressed himself against the wall, his rifle at the ready, and waited. The seconds ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. The sniper could hear his own heartbeat, feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He knew he was trapped, but he also knew he had one advantage, the element of surprise. He waited, listening as the soldiers moved closer. He could hear their footsteps, the clink of their gear, the murmur of their voices. They were right outside. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. Then, with lightning speed, he sprang from his hiding place, firing a burst of shots at the nearest soldier. The alien went down, his weapon clattering to the ground. The sniper didn't stop. He whirled around, firing again, dropping another soldier before they could react. The remaining soldiers scrambled for cover, but the sniper was already on the move, darting through the rocks and debris. He knew he couldn't stay here. He needed to find a way out, and fast. He spotted a gap in the rocks ahead, a narrow opening that led to a steep drop-off. It was risky, but it was his only chance. He sprinted for the gap, bullets and plasma bolts whizzing past him. He could feel the heat of the blast, smell the acrid scent of burning rock and metal. He reached the gap, leaping over the edge just as another explosion rocked the ground behind him. He tumbled down the slope, rocks and debris tumbling with him. He hit the ground hard, rolling to a stop at the bottom of the hill. Pain shot through his body, but he forced himself to his feet, gritting his teeth against the agony. He didn't have time to think about the pain. He needed to keep moving. He limped forward, his eyes scanning the terrain for any sign of cover. He spotted a small outcropping of rocks ahead, a potential hiding spot. He staggered towards it, his legs burning with every step. He reached the rocks, collapsing behind him, gasping for breath. He knew he couldn't stay here long. The coalition would be on his trail soon enough. He needed to find a way to shake them off, to disappear into the wilderness. But for now, all he could do was catch his breath and prepare for whatever came next. The battle was far from over, and he was still in the fight. The sniper lay behind the outcropping, breathing heavily. Every muscle in his body ached from the fall, and his ribs throbbed with every breath. But pain was the least of his concerns. He was trapped behind enemy lines with a coalition force closing in. He knew he had to move before they found him. He peeked over the rocks, scanning the terrain. The shadows were long now, the sun nearly gone, casting the landscape into a dim twilight. It was both a blessing and a curse. The darkness would help him remain hidden, but it also made it harder to navigate and spot potential threats. He activated his night vision and checked his surroundings. The slope he had tumbled down was littered with debris and jagged rocks, and beyond that lay a dense forest. If he could make it to the trees, he might have a chance to lose the coalition forces in the thick underbrush. He glanced back up the slope, listening for any sound of movement. He could still hear the coalition soldiers above, their voices faint but growing louder. They were searching the area, spreading out to cover more ground. He knew he only had a few minutes before they reached his position. Gritting his teeth, he forced himself to his feet, wincing as pain shot through his side. He ignored it, focusing on the task at hand. He moved quickly but quietly, keeping low as he crossed the open ground towards the forest. His heart pounded in his chest, every step a risk, every movement a potential giveaway. He reached the edge of the forest, slipping into the shadows beneath the trees. The darkness was nearly complete now, the thick canopy above blocking out what little light remained. He moved deeper into the forest, weaving through the trees, careful to avoid making any noise that might alert the enemy to his presence. After what felt like an eternity, he found a small hollow beneath the roots of a large tree. It was just big enough for him to crawl into, offering some concealment. He settled in, lying still, his rifle ready. The sniper listened, straining to hear any sound of pursuit. The forest was eerily quiet, the only sound the distant chirping of insects. He stayed still, waiting, knowing that patience was his best weapon now. Hours seemed to pass as he lay there, unmoving, every muscle tense. Then he heard it, a faint rustling in the underbrush, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps. The coalition soldiers were close, moving through the forest, searching for any sign of him. He held his breath, his finger on the trigger, ready to fire if he had to. The footsteps grew louder, the sound of voices drifting through the trees. He could see the faint glow of their lights, moving slowly, methodically. They were taking their time, not wanting to miss anything. The sniper stayed perfectly still, blending into the shadows, his breathing shallow. He knew if they found him, it would be over. He was outnumbered and outgunned, and there was no way he could take them all on. The soldiers passed by, their lights flickering through the trees. The sniper watched them go, his heart pounding in his chest. He waited until the sound of their footsteps faded into the distance before he allowed himself to relax. He knew he couldn't stay here forever. He needed to find a way out to get back to his unit, to warn them about the trap. But for now, he would wait, resting his aching body, gathering his strength for the long journey ahead. The sniper awoke with a start, his hand instinctively gripping his rifle. The forest was still dark, the faint light of dawn just beginning to filter through the trees. He checked his watch. He had only been asleep for a couple of hours, but it felt like an eternity. He forced himself to sit up, every muscle protesting. He was sore, bruised, and exhausted, but he knew he couldn't afford to rest any longer. The coalition would still be looking for him, and he needed to put as much distance between them as possible. He crawled out of the hollow, wincing as he stood. The forest was quiet, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the breeze. He moved cautiously, keeping low, using the trees for cover. He had no idea where he was or how far he had to go to reach friendly lines, but he knew he couldn't afford to get lost. He activated his compass, setting a course for what he hoped was the right direction. He moved quickly but carefully, listening for any sign of pursuit. He knew the coalition forces were still out there, searching for him, but he had to keep moving. Hours passed as he made his way through the forest, the terrain becoming more rugged and difficult. He climbed over fallen trees, waded through streams, and scrambled up rocky hillsides, his progress slow but steady. He was exhausted, his body screaming for rest, but he pushed on, driven by the knowledge that stopping could mean death. As the sun rose higher in the sky, he found himself on the edge of a steep ravine. He paused, scanning the area for a way across. The ravine was deep, with a fast-flowing river at the bottom, but there was a narrow ledge that looked like it might provide a way to the other side. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the crossing. He knew it was risky, but he didn't have much choice. He couldn't afford to go back, and there was no other way forward. He stepped onto the ledge, hugging the cliff face as he made his way across. The drop was dizzying, the river below a churning mass of white water. He focused on his footing, taking it one step at a time, trying not to think about what would happen if he slipped. He was halfway across when he heard it, a faint rumble growing louder. He glanced up, his eyes widening in horror as he saw a landslide of rocks and debris cascading down the slope above him. He had no time to react, no time to run. He threw himself against the cliff face, pressing himself flat as the rocks tumbled past, narrowly missing him. The ledge shook beneath him, a few rocks breaking away and tumbling into the ravine below. He held his breath, waiting for the slide to stop, praying that the ledge would hold. After what felt like an eternity, the rumbling ceased. The sniper exhaled, his body trembling with adrenaline. He knew he couldn't stay here. The ledge was unstable and more rocks could come down at any moment. He forced himself to move, inching his way along the ledge, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached the other side, scrambling up onto solid ground, collapsing in a heap. He lay there for a moment, gasping for breath, his body shaking with relief. He couldn't afford to rest. He had to keep moving. He got to his feet, his legs unsteady, and continued on, pushing through the trees, his mind focused on one goal, getting back to his unit and warning them about the trap. As night fell again, the sniper found himself on a hill overlooking a small valley. In the distance, he could see the faint glow of lights, a coalition outpost. He crouched down, peering through his scope, studying the layout of the camp. The outpost was small, a temporary base set up in the middle of the valley. He could see a few vehicles, some tents, and several guards patrolling the perimeter. It wasn't heavily fortified, but it was enough to keep him at bay. He needed a way around, a route that would take him back to friendly lines without being spotted. He studied the terrain, looking for any gaps in their defenses, any weaknesses he could exploit. Then he saw it, a small, unguarded path leading up the hill behind the outpost. It was narrow and steep, but it looked like it might offer a way through without being detected. He knew it was a risk. The path was close to the outpost, and if he was spotted, he would be in serious trouble. But it was his best chance to get past the coalition forces and back to his own lines. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the journey. He checked his gear, making sure everything was secure, then set off down the hill, keeping low as he moved towards the path. He reached the base of the hill, pausing to listen for any sign of movement. The outpost was quiet, the guards unaware of his presence. He moved quickly, keeping to the shadows, making his way up the narrow path. The climb was steep and treacherous, the path barely wide enough to walk on. He kept close to the rock wall, using his hands to steady himself as he climbed. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, his breath coming in short, sharp gasps. He reached the top of the hill, crouching down behind a large boulder. From here, he could see the entire valley, the outpost laid out below him like a map. He took a moment to catch his breath, then continued on, moving through the rocks and trees, staying out of sight. He made his way down the other side of the hill, the terrain becoming more familiar. He was getting closer, he could feel it. He knew he had to be careful. The coalition forces were still out there, and they would be looking for him. As he moved through the trees, he heard a faint crackle in his ear, the sound of a comm signal. He stopped, listening, adjusting his headset to pick up the signal. "This is Alpha Command, calling any units in the vicinity." The comm signal crackled in the sniper's ear, an unexpected lifeline in the chaos. He adjusted his headset, focusing on the transmission. The signal was faint but clear enough to understand. "This is Alpha Command, calling any units in the vicinity. We have established a new secure zone on the eastern ridge. All units are to proceed to the rendezvous point immediately. Repeat, rendezvous on the eastern ridge." The sniper's heart quickened. The eastern ridge was close. If he could make it there, he might find a way to link up with his unit and relay the critical information about the coalition's new tactics. He had to move quickly. He adjusted his path, heading east through the dense forest. The terrain was challenging, the underbrush thick and tangled, but he pushed on, driven by the urgency of the message. The forest was beginning to thin out, revealing glimpses of open ground and the distant outline of the ridge. As he neared the ridge, he took care to stay hidden, moving stealthily to avoid detection. The Coalition's elite hunters could still be out there, and he couldn't afford to be caught now. His senses were heightened, every sound, every movement scrutinized for potential threats. He reached the base of the ridge, pausing to catch his breath. From here, he could see the makeshift camp set up by Alpha Command. It was a small but secure position, surrounded by defensive barriers and guarded by a few sentries. The lights of the camp were dim, a deliberate choice to avoid attracting attention. The sniper approached the camp cautiously, keeping to the shadows. He could see the sentries moving about, their eyes scanning the surrounding area for any signs of trouble. He had to be careful. One wrong move could jeopardize his entire mission. He made his way to the camp's perimeter, where a makeshift checkpoint had been set up. A pair of guards stood watch, their conversation low and subdued. The sniper waited for a moment of distraction, then slipped past them, blending into the darkness. Inside the camp, he was greeted by a sense of organized chaos. Soldiers moved about, preparing equipment, checking supplies, and coordinating their efforts. The camp was a hive of activity, but the sniper's presence went unnoticed as he made his way to the command tent. He entered the tent quietly, avoiding the eyes of the personnel inside. The tent was filled with maps, communication equipment, and a large holographic display showing the current battlefield situation. At the center of the activity was a figure he recognized, a commanding officer, issuing orders and coordinating the defense. The sniper approached cautiously, making sure not to attract attention. He waited for a lull in the conversation, then stepped forward, his presence finally noticed. "Sir," he said, his voice low and steady, "I have crucial information regarding the Coalition's new tactics." The commanding officer turned, his eyes widening in recognition. "You're the sniper from the field. We've been expecting you. What's the situation?" The sniper relayed the details of his encounter with the Coalition's elite hunters, describing their movements, tactics, and the challenges he had faced. He emphasized the need for increased vigilance and strategic adjustments to counter the new threat. The commanding officer listened intently, nodding as he took in the information. "This is valuable intelligence. We'll need to adjust our strategies and reinforce our defenses. Thank you for bringing this to us." The sniper nodded, his mission accomplished. "I need to get some rest and regroup. There are still more Coalition forces out there, and we need to be prepared." The officer nodded in agreement. "We'll make sure you're taken care of. Get some rest and be ready for the next phase." The sniper spent a few hours resting and recuperating in the camp. He was given medical attention for his injuries, and his gear was checked and repaired. Despite his exhaustion, he remained focused, knowing that the fight was far from over. As dawn approached, the camp was already a hive of activity. The new intelligence had prompted a flurry of preparations, with soldiers and officers working together to implement the necessary changes to their strategies and defenses. The sniper was called to a briefing with a commanding officer and key staff members. The room was filled with maps, holographic projections, and tactical displays. The atmosphere was tense but determined. "We've taken your information into account," the commanding officer said, pointing to the holographic map. "The Coalition's new tactics are a serious threat, but we're not without options. We need to adapt quickly." The officers discussed their plans, focusing on how to use the sniper's insights to counter the Coalition's elite hunters. They decided to set up a series of decoy positions and traps to lure the hunters into ambushes. They also increased their surveillance and intelligence-gathering efforts to better anticipate enemy movements. The sniper offered additional advice, sharing insights on how the Coalition's hunters operated and how best to counter their strategies. He provided details on potential weaknesses and suggested adjustments to their defensive setups. The planning session continued throughout the morning, the team working to finalize their countermeasures. As the day progressed, the camp's preparations were put into action. The soldiers were briefed on the new tactics, and the camp's defenses were reinforced. The sniper prepared to head back into the field, his role now focused on providing reconnaissance and supporting the new defensive strategies. He knew that the Coalition's hunters would be relentless, but the changes implemented would give them a fighting chance. As he made his way out of the camp, he took one last look at the preparations. The soldiers were ready, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were now better equipped to face the enemy. The sniper returned to the field, taking up a position overlooking the battlefield from a vantage point that provided a clear view of the area. The camp's new defenses were in place, and the coalition's movements had been carefully monitored. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the landscape. The sniper's eyes were trained on the coalition outpost, where the enemy was beginning to regroup and launch a new offensive. The coalition forces were more cautious now, their movements more deliberate as they adapted to the new threat. The sniper scanned the area, his scope picking out individual targets as he assessed the situation. He could see the coalition's elite hunters moving with greater precision, their tactics more refined as they tried to outmaneuver the newly established defenses. He identified a group of hunters moving towards one of the decoy positions. They were operating with the same cold efficiency he had observed earlier, but now they faced an opponent who was prepared for their tactics. He shifted his aim, targeting the lead hunter. The shot was quick and precise, the round striking true and sending the hunter crumpling to the ground. The remaining hunters immediately went into high alert, searching for the source of the shot. The sniper continued to pick off targets, his shots carefully timed to maximize confusion and disrupt the enemy's coordination. The decoy positions were proving effective, drawing the hunters into well-placed traps. As the battle intensified, the sniper's role shifted to providing real-time support to the soldiers on the ground. He relayed information about enemy movements and coordinated with the camp's defenses to ensure that the traps were utilized effectively. The coalition forces were struggling to adapt, their once coordinated efforts now fragmented and disorganized. The combination of decoys, traps, and sniper support was taking its toll, and the coalition's advance began to falter. Despite their best efforts, the coalition forces were unable to break through the defenses. The battle was shifting in favor of the human defenders, their preparations and countermeasures proving effective against the once feared elite hunters. As night fell, the sniper took a moment to survey the battlefield. The coalition forces were retreating, their morale shattered by the relentless and well-coordinated resistance. The sniper's presence had been a critical factor in turning the tide, and the enemy's once unyielding confidence was now replaced by uncertainty and fear. With the battle winding down, the sniper returned to the camp, his role in the conflict temporarily over. He was greeted by the commanding officer and other personnel who were already assessing the results of the night's clash. "You did an excellent job out there," the officer said, shaking the sniper's hand. "The coalition's hunters are no longer a threat, at least for now. Your intelligence and skill were crucial in turning the tide." The sniper nodded, acknowledging the praise but remaining focused. "We've made a significant impact, but we can't let our guard down. The coalition will regroup, and they'll be back." The officer agreed. "We'll use the time we have to reinforce our positions and prepare for the next engagement. Your contribution has given us the upper hand, but we need to stay vigilant." As the camp settled into a relative calm, the sniper found a quiet spot to reflect. The night's events had been intense, and the weight of the conflict was beginning to settle on him. He thought about the coalition's hunters, the fear they had instilled, and the role he had played in countering that threat. He knew that the battle was far from over, and there would be more challenges ahead. But for now, there was a brief respite, a chance to rest and regroup before the next phase of the war. The sniper looked out over the battlefield, the aftermath of the night's clash stretching out before him. The landscape was scarred, the remnants of the conflict a stark reminder of the high stakes involved. He was a soldier, a warrior in a long and brutal conflict. His role was clear, and his purpose was unwavering. He would continue to fight, to adapt, and to face whatever challenges came his way. For now, he would take solace in the small victories, knowing that each one brought them closer to the ultimate goal. As dawn approached, the sniper prepared for the next chapter of the battle, ready to face whatever the future held. The war was far from over, but with each step, he moved closer to victory. The respite was short-lived. By mid-morning, the commanding officer summoned the sniper for an urgent briefing. The mood in the command tent was tense, and the atmosphere crackled with the weight of new intelligence. "Report from our scouts," the officer began, pointing to the holographic map. "We've detected unusual energy signatures on the northern front. It seems the coalition is deploying new technology, possibly a type of energy shield or advanced ECM system. This could change the dynamics of our engagement." The sniper studied the map, his mind racing with potential implications. If they're deploying new tech, it could mean they're preparing for a major push. Their tactics might evolve, and our current strategies could become obsolete. "Exactly," the officer agreed. We need to understand this new technology and find a way to counter it. Your experience on the field makes you the best candidate to investigate and assess the situation. The sniper nodded. I'll head to the northern front and gather as much information as I can. I'll need a detailed report on the energy signatures and any other relevant intel. Understood, the officer said. We'll provide you with the necessary support. Be careful out there. This is a new threat, and we don't know its full capabilities yet. With the briefing concluded, the sniper prepared for another mission. He equipped himself with advanced reconnaissance gear, ensuring he had everything he needed to assess the new technology. The northern front was a significant distance away, but he knew time was of the essence. He set out, moving cautiously through the rugged terrain. The journey was arduous, but his training and experience allowed him to navigate the landscape with efficiency. As he approached the northern front, he could see the changes in the environment, new defensive structures and unfamiliar technology. The sniper found a concealed position on a high ridge overlooking the area. From here, he could observe the coalition's deployment and gather data on their new technology. He set up his equipment, tuning into the energy signatures and analyzing the data. The coalition's new technology was impressive. Energy shields flickered in and out of visibility, and automated systems patrolled the area with increased efficiency. The sniper noted the patterns of the energy fields and the deployment of the ECM systems. It was clear that the coalition was adapting rapidly. As he gathered information, he spotted a convoy of coalition vehicles transporting additional equipment. The convoy was heavily guarded, suggesting that the new technology was a high-priority asset. The sniper relayed his findings to the command center, providing real-time updates on the situation. Back at the camp, the commanding officer and the tech team pored over the sniper's report. The new technology presented a significant challenge, and the team worked tirelessly to devise a countermeasure. We've never encountered anything quite like this, the officer said, examining the data. The energy shields are designed to deflect conventional attacks, and the ECM systems are disrupting our electronic warfare capabilities. One of the tech specialists chimed in. We'll need to adapt our weapons and tactics. The shields can be bypassed using specialized munitions, and we'll need to deploy counter-ECM systems to neutralize their interference. The sniper, present at the briefing, offered his insights. I've observed their deployment patterns. The energy shields have gaps during their activation cycle. If we can exploit those gaps with precise timing, we might be able to penetrate their defenses. The team began working on modifications to their existing equipment. Specialized rounds were developed to penetrate the energy shields, and portable counter-ECM units were deployed to negate the coalition's electronic interference. The commanding officer addressed the team. We need to test these new strategies and equipment under real conditions. The sniper will assist in evaluating their effectiveness in the field. The sniper prepared for another operation, this time focusing on testing the new countermeasures. His objective was to conduct a series of tests on the coalition's technology and assess the effectiveness of the new equipment. The sniper was deployed to a forward position, tasked with testing the new countermeasures against the coalition's energy shields and ECM systems. The mission was critical, and the success of the new technology would determine the next phase of their strategy. He set up his position in a concealed area, using a combination of camouflage and terrain to remain undetected. His equipment was adjusted for the new munitions and counter-ECM systems. He had a clear view of the coalition's defensive perimeter and the energy shields in operation. The sniper took a deep breath, focusing on his target. He fired a test shot using the specialized rounds designed to penetrate the energy shields. The round struck the shield, creating a noticeable impact. The shield flickered, but the round did not penetrate as hoped. He adjusted his aim, recalibrating his equipment to account for the shield's energy fluctuations. He fired again, this time with better results. The round breached the shield, striking the target with precision. The sniper noted the effect and made adjustments as necessary. Simultaneously, he tested the portable counter-ECM units. He activated them to disrupt the coalition's electronic warfare capabilities, observing how they affected the enemy's systems. The counter-ECM units worked as intended, reducing the interference and allowing for more accurate targeting. The tests were successful, but there was still room for improvement. The sniper relayed his findings to the command center, providing detailed feedback on the performance of the new equipment. With the new countermeasures in place, the coalition launched a coordinated assault on the human positions. The offensive was aggressive, aimed at testing the effectiveness of the new defenses and exploiting any potential weaknesses. The sniper was back in the field, stationed at a strategic location to provide support and gather intelligence on the coalition's tactics. The battle was intense, with the coalition forces pushing hard to breach the new defenses. He observed the coalition's attack patterns, noting their attempts to bypass the energy shields and counter the ECM disruptions. The coalition was using a combination of brute force and tactical maneuvers, aiming to overwhelm the defenses. The sniper provided real-time updates to the command center, helping to coordinate the response and adjust strategies as needed. His presence on the battlefield was crucial, offering insights into the effectiveness of the new countermeasures and identifying potential vulnerabilities. The coalition's assault was fierce, but the human defenses held. The new technology proved to be effective, repelling the majority of the attacks and minimizing the impact of the coalition's offensive. The sniper's analysis and the improvements to their equipment played a key role in maintaining the defensive position. As the battle raged on, the sniper remained vigilant, ready to respond to any changes in the coalition's tactics. The outcome of the engagement would determine the next steps in the conflict and shape the future of their strategies. The battle eventually subsided, the coalition forces retreating in disarray. The human defenses had withstood the assault, and the new countermeasures had proven effective. The camp was once again filled with a sense of cautious optimism. The commanding officer addressed the team, praising their efforts and acknowledging the crucial role played by the sniper. Your work has been instrumental in turning the tide. The new technology and strategies have made a significant difference. The sniper nodded, acknowledging the praise but remaining focused. We've made progress, but we can't afford to be complacent. The coalition will regroup and adapt, and we need to stay prepared for their next move. As the team assessed the aftermath of the battle, the sniper took a moment to reflect on the events. The conflict was ongoing, and there were still many challenges ahead. But the successes achieved so far had strengthened their position and provided valuable insights into the coalition's capabilities. He prepared for the next phase of the war, ready to continue his role as a silent and deadly force on the battlefield. The fight was far from over, but with each victory, they moved closer to achieving their objectives. The sniper knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he was determined to face it with resolve and tenacity. The conflict would continue, but he was ready to meet the challenge head-on, one shot at a time. In the aftermath of the recent battle, the camp settled into a new routine. The soldiers were weary but resolute, their spirits bolstered by the recent success. The sniper, however, remained on edge, his senses attuned to the possibility of further threats. He spent his days conducting reconnaissance missions, assessing the battlefield, and gathering intelligence on the coalition's movements. The conflict had reached a new phase, and the enemy was likely to employ new tactics and strategies. During one of his missions, the sniper discovered signs of increased coalition activity in a remote area of the battlefield. The signs pointed to a possible buildup of forces and new technologies. He relayed his findings to the command center, alerting them to the potential threat. The commanding officer convened a strategy session to address the new developments. The increased activity could indicate a major offensive or the deployment of additional technology. We need to be prepared for any eventuality. The sniper provided detailed insights based on his observations, helping to shape the new defensive plans. The team worked to bolster their defenses and prepare for a potential escalation in the conflict. As the days passed, the tension in the camp grew. The soldiers remained vigilant, their readiness heightened by the uncertainty of the coalition's next move. The sniper continued his role, his presence a constant reminder of the ever-present threat. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sniper received a new assignment. He was to investigate an abandoned coalition outpost that had recently come under human control. The outpost might hold valuable information or equipment that could provide an advantage. He set out for the outpost, navigating the rugged terrain with practiced ease. The structure loomed ahead, a silent testament to the conflict that had raged across the planet. As he approached, he remained alert for any signs of danger. Inside the outpost, the sniper discovered a cache of equipment and documents. The documents detailed coalition plans and strategies, offering valuable insights into their tactics. The equipment included advanced weaponry and technology that could be repurposed for human use. The discovery was significant, providing new intelligence and resources that could impact the course of the war. The sniper carefully collected the items and made his way back to the camp, his mission complete. Back at the camp, the commanding officer reviewed the documents and equipment recovered by the sniper. The intelligence revealed new coalition strategies, and potential weaknesses that could be exploited. This information is invaluable, the officer said, studying the documents. It provides us with a clearer understanding of the coalition's plans and their approach to the conflict. The tech team analyzed the recovered equipment, integrating it into their own systems. The advanced weaponry and technology offered new capabilities and enhancements that could give them an edge in future engagements. With the new intelligence and equipment, the team developed updated strategies to counter the coalition's tactics. The sniper played a key role in shaping these strategies, using his insights from the battlefield to inform their approach. The updated strategies focused on exploiting the coalition's weaknesses and adapting to their new technologies. The goal was to stay one step ahead, using the information gained to anticipate and counter their moves. The sniper's role remained critical in implementing and testing the new strategies. His reconnaissance missions continued to provide valuable intelligence, and his expertise in the field was essential for assessing the effectiveness of the updated tactics. As the conflict progressed, the sniper remained vigilant, ready to respond to any new threats or challenges. The war was ongoing, but the recent successes and advancements had strengthened their position and provided hope for a favorable outcome. The updated strategies and new equipment began to make a noticeable impact on the battlefield. The coalition's attempts to adapt to the new tactics were met with increasing difficulty, and their offensives became less effective. The sniper continued to play a crucial role, providing real-time intelligence and support during engagements. His presence on the battlefield was a constant reminder of the human force's resilience and adaptability. One day, the commanding officer received intelligence indicating a major coalition offensive plan for the coming days. The attack was expected to be a decisive push, aimed at breaking through the human defenses and regaining lost ground. The team prepared for the imminent assault, fortifying their positions and deploying additional resources. The sniper was assigned to a critical location, tasked with providing support and gathering intelligence on the coalition's movements. As the offensive began, the sniper observed the coalition's attack from his vantage point. The enemy forces were relentless, pushing hard against the human defenses. The battle was intense, with both sides engaging in fierce combat. The sniper's role was to provide precise and timely support, targeting key coalition assets and disrupting their formations. His presence on the battlefield helped to shift the balance in favor of the human forces, contributing to the successful defense. The coalition's offensive ultimately faltered, their forces unable to breach the human defenses. The tide of the battle had turned, and the human forces achieved a significant victory. In the aftermath of the battle, the camp was filled with a sense of accomplishment. The recent victories had bolstered the morale of the troops and provided a renewed sense of hope. The commanding officer addressed the team, expressing gratitude for their efforts. Your hard work and dedication have made a significant difference. The recent successes are a testament to our resilience and ability to adapt. The sniper, reflecting on the recent events, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The conflict was ongoing, and there were still many challenges ahead. But the progress made and the victories achieved provided a sense of purpose and determination. As he prepared for the next phase of the war, the sniper remained focused on his mission. The battle was far from over, but the recent successes had strengthened their position and provided valuable insights into the coalition's capabilities. The sniper knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he was ready to face the challenges with resolve and tenacity. The conflict would continue, but he was determined to meet it head-on, one step at a time. With the new strategies and equipment in place, the human forces were better prepared for the ongoing conflict. The sniper's role remained critical, and his expertise would continue to play a key role in shaping the outcome of the war. As dawn approached, the sniper prepared for the next chapter of the battle, ready to face whatever the future held. The war was far from over, but with each step, he moved closer to victory. In the wake of their recent defeat, the coalition regrouped and reevaluated their strategies. The human forces' adaptability and effectiveness with the new technologies had shifted the momentum, and the coalition was determined to regain their advantage. The commanding officer convened an emergency strategy meeting to address the impending coalition counterstrike. The briefing room was tense, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. Intel indicates that the coalition is planning a coordinated assault with a focus on overwhelming our defenses, the officer announced. They've likely developed new countermeasures based on their recent losses. We need to be prepared for a more aggressive and sophisticated attack. The sniper, having recently returned from a reconnaissance mission, provided his insights. I've observed increased coalition activity in several key areas. They're deploying additional forces and integrating advanced tactics. It's likely they've analyzed our recent successes and are adjusting their approach. The team worked tirelessly to enhance their defenses and prepare for the expected assault. They reinforced their positions, upgraded their technology, and developed new tactics to counter the coalition's anticipated strategies. The sniper's role was crucial in the upcoming battle. He was tasked with gathering real-time intelligence on the coalition's movements and identifying potential weaknesses in their approach. The coalition's counterstrike commenced with a fierce and coordinated assault. The initial waves were relentless, with the coalition forces employing new tactics and technology to challenge the human defenses. The sniper took up a position in a strategically advantageous location, providing crucial support and intelligence. His role was to observe and report on the coalition's attack patterns, targeting key assets and disrupting their advance. The battle was intense, with the coalition forces pushing hard against the defenses. The human forces, equipped with their updated technology and strategies, fought back with determination. The sniper's observations reveal the coalition's new approach. They were utilizing advanced suppression tactics and deploying specialized units designed to neutralize human countermeasures. The sniper relayed this information to the command center, allowing for quick adjustments to the defense strategies. The coalition's new tactics presented significant challenges, but the human forces adapted rapidly. The sniper played a key role in this process, providing real-time intelligence that informed tactical adjustments. The coalition forces had focused their efforts on exploiting vulnerabilities in the defensive lines. They deployed heavy artillery and high-tech drones to breach the defenses and create openings for their ground troops. The sniper's precise targeting of the coalition's artillery and drone operators helped to mitigate their impact. By neutralizing key threats, he contributed to the overall effectiveness of the human defenses. The command center utilized the sniper's intelligence to implement counter-strategies. They deployed additional counter-ECM systems and adjusted the positioning of their forces to better withstand the coalition's assault. Despite the coalition's aggressive push, the human defenses held. The adaptability and resilience of the forces, combined with the sniper's critical support, prevented a breakthrough. As the battle raged on, the commanding officer faced a critical decision. The coalition's assault was fierce, and their new tactics had challenged the human defenses more than anticipated. The officer addressed the team. We need to make a decision on whether to hold our current positions or execute a strategic withdrawal to more defensible locations. Holding our ground is costly, but retreating could also have strategic implications. The sniper, having closely observed the battle, offered his perspective. We're holding our ground, but the coalition's new tactics are putting significant pressure on us. A strategic withdrawal might allow us to regroup and strengthen our position, but we need to ensure that it's executed effectively. The team discussed the options, weighing the potential risks and benefits of each course of action. The decision was complex, involving considerations of both immediate tactical advantages and long-term strategic goals. After careful consideration, the commanding officer decided on a strategic withdrawal to more defensible locations. The decision was made with the understanding that it would allow the human forces to regroup, reinforce their defenses, and prepare for the next phase of the conflict. The withdrawal was executed with precision. The forces fell back in an organized manner, maintaining their defensive posture and minimizing losses. The sniper played a crucial role in covering the retreat, providing support and targeting any coalition units attempting to disrupt the movement. The new defensive positions were fortified and prepared for the anticipated coalition follow-up attack. The human forces utilized the time gained through the withdrawal to enhance their defenses and adapt their strategies. With the new positions established, the human forces focused on reinforcing their defenses. The sniper continued his reconnaissance missions, gathering intelligence on the coalition's movements and preparing for the next phase of the conflict. The coalition, recognizing the human forces' strategic withdrawal, adjusted their approach. They sought to exploit the new defensive positions and break through the reinforced lines. The sniper's observations revealed the coalition's tactics, including their attempts to flank and encircle the new positions. He relayed this information to the command center, allowing for adjustments to the defensive strategies. The human forces deployed additional resources and adjusted their tactics to counter the coalition's maneuvers. The reinforced defenses were designed to withstand the coalition's assault and hold the line. Chapter 32. Preparing for the next move. As the coalition's next offensive approached, the human forces were prepared for a renewed clash. The sniper continued his role, providing crucial intelligence and support in the lead-up to the battle. The commanding officer reviewed the updated strategies and briefed the team on the expected coalition tactics. We need to be prepared for a coordinated attack. The coalition will likely attempt to exploit any weaknesses in our defenses, so we must remain vigilant. The sniper, armed with the latest intelligence, took up his position in anticipation of the upcoming battle. His role was to observe, gather data, and provide support during the coalition's assault. The human forces were ready for the fight, their defenses strengthened and their strategies refined. The stage was set for a critical confrontation that would determine the outcome of the ongoing conflict. The coalition's offensive commenced with a ferocity that tested the limits of the human defenses. The battle was intense, with both sides engaging in a high-stakes clash of technology and tactics. The sniper's role was critical in this confrontation. Positioned in a strategic location, he provided real-time intelligence on the coalition's movements and targeted key assets. The coalition employed advanced tactics, including electronic warfare and precision strikes, in an effort to breach the human defenses. The sniper's observations helped to identify and counter these tactics, contributing to the overall effectiveness of the defense. The human forces fought with determination, utilizing their reinforced defenses and updated strategies to repel the coalition's assault. The battle was hard-fought, but the resilience and adaptability of the human forces shone through. As the battle progressed, the human forces began to gain the upper hand. The coalition's offensive, while initially overwhelming, faced increasing resistance from the well-prepared defenses. The sniper's precise targeting and timely intelligence played a key role in turning the tide. By neutralizing key coalition assets and disrupting their tactics, he contributed to the shifting momentum. The human forces launched counterattacks, exploiting weaknesses in the coalition's formation and pushing back against their advance. The coalition's attempt to breach the defenses faltered, and the human forces began to regain control of the battlefield. The battle continued with fierce combat, but the resilience and adaptability of the human forces proved decisive. The coalition's offensive was repelled. The human forces achieved a hard-fought victory. In the aftermath of the battle, the camp was filled with a sense of accomplishment. The recent victory had bolstered the morale of the troops and reaffirmed their resolve. The commanding officer addressed the team, praising their efforts and highlighting the importance of their achievements. Your hard work and dedication have made a significant difference. This victory is a testament to our ability to adapt and persevere. The sniper, reflecting on the events, felt a deep sense of pride. The conflict was ongoing, and there were still many challenges ahead. But the recent successes have provided valuable insights and strengthened their position. As the camp settled into a new routine, the sniper prepared for the next phase of the conflict. The road ahead will be challenging, but with each victory, they moved closer to achieving their objectives. The sniper remained focused on his mission, ready to face whatever the future held. The battle was far from over, but with each step, he moved closer to victory. Following their recent defeat, the coalition's leadership convened to develop a new strategy. The previous tactics had failed to break the human defenses, and it was clear that a more innovative approach was required. The High Command discussed the need for a more multifaceted strategy, one that combined brute force with psychological and technological warfare. They aimed to exploit every available advantage to overcome the human defenses. New plans were formulated, including the use of specialized assault units, advanced electronic warfare, and psychological operations designed to sow discord and confusion among the human forces. As the coalition began implementing their new strategy, the human forces braced themselves for the anticipated changes. The sniper, ever vigilant, continued his reconnaissance missions to gather intelligence on the coalition's evolving tactics. During a reconnaissance mission, the sniper encountered something unexpected. While surveying a potential coalition stronghold, he came across a group of civilians, unaffiliated with the war but caught in the crossfire. The civilians were hidden in a makeshift shelter, their fear palpable. The sniper knew that engaging them would only complicate matters, so he provided a discreet warning to his command, who then organized a rescue operation. The encounter brought a new perspective to the conflict. It was a reminder of the human cost of war and the importance of minimizing civilian casualties. The sniper's action earned him the respect of his peers and highlighted his commitment to both his mission and humanitarian principles. The coalition's psychological operations began to have a noticeable impact on the battlefield. They spread misinformation and propaganda, attempting to create divisions and erode morale among the human forces. The Human Command Center received reports of increased unrest and uncertainty within their ranks. Soldiers were questioning their strategies and their leaders, influenced by the coalition's psychological tactics. The sniper, understanding the importance of morale, focused on countering these psychological operations. He worked closely with the intelligence team to debunk coalition propaganda and maintain the morale of the troops. The coalition launched a major offensive aimed at capturing Fort Alpha, a key strategic position. The fort was a linchpin in the human defensive line, and its fall could have serious repercussions for the entire conflict. The human forces, aware of the coalition's intentions, fortified the fort and prepared for the assault. The sniper was assigned to provide support and intelligence during the siege. The battle for Fort Alpha was fierce. The coalition's new tactics included overwhelming firepower and relentless assaults. The sniper's role was crucial in targeting key enemy assets and disrupting their advances. Despite the coalition's best efforts, the human forces, bolstered by their reinforced defenses and strategic planning, managed to hold their ground. The siege was repelled, and Fort Alpha remained in human hands. In the aftermath of the successful defense of Fort Alpha, there was a renewed sense of hope among the human forces. The victory demonstrated their resilience and ability to adapt to the coalition's evolving tactics. The commanding officer praised the team for their efforts, highlighting the importance of their recent successes. This victory is a testament to our strength and our ability to overcome the challenges posed by the coalition. It provides us with a much-needed boost as we continue this fight. The sniper, reflecting on the recent victories, felt a renewed sense of purpose. The conflict was ongoing, but the recent successes provided a glimmer of hope for a favorable outcome. Determined to regain their lost ground, the coalition launched a counter-offensive aimed at breaking through the human defenses and disrupting their recent successes. The offensive was characterized by coordinated attacks and the use of advanced technology. The coalition sought to exploit any weaknesses in the human defenses and turn the tide of the conflict. The sniper, positioned to gather intelligence on the coalition's movements, provided crucial support during the counteroffensive. His observations revealed the coalition's tactics and allowed the human forces to adapt their strategies. The battle was intense, with both sides engaging in a high-stakes struggle. The human forces, utilizing their updated strategies and reinforced defenses, fought back with determination. As the counteroffensive progressed, the human forces began to regain the upper hand. The coalition's attempts to exploit weaknesses in the defenses were met with increasing resistance and countermeasures. The sniper's role was pivotal in turning the tide. His precise targeting and timely intelligence disrupted the coalition's plans and contributed to the overall effectiveness of the defense. The human forces launched counterattacks, exploiting weaknesses in the coalition's formations and pushing back against their advance. The tide of the battle shifted in favor of the human forces. Facing increasing setbacks, the coalition's leadership grew desperate. They escalated their efforts, deploying additional resources and attempting more aggressive tactics in a bid to break the stalemate. The coalition's desperation was evident in their tactics. They resorted to high-risk strategies, including large-scale assaults and unconventional warfare, in an effort to achieve a breakthrough. The human forces, while challenged by the coalition's renewed aggression, remained steadfast. The sniper continued to provide valuable intelligence and support, helping to counter the coalition's desperate measures. The coalition's final offensive was a last-ditch effort to achieve victory. The assault was intense and relentless, with the coalition deploying their most advanced technology and tactics. The human forces braced themselves for the onslaught. The sniper, positioned in a critical location, provided crucial support and intelligence during the final stages of the battle. The battle for survival was fierce, with both sides engaging in a high-stakes struggle. The human forces fought with determination, utilizing their strengths and adapting their strategies to counter the coalition's final push. As the final offensive reached its climax, the human forces began to gain the upper hand. The coalition's desperate tactics faltered in the face of the well-coordinated and resilient defense. The sniper's precise targeting and timely intelligence played a crucial role in the human forces' success. His contributions helped to repel the coalition's final assault and secure a decisive victory. The conflict, while not yet entirely over, had reached a critical turning point. The human forces had demonstrated their ability to adapt and overcome, and the coalition's efforts to achieve a breakthrough had been thwarted. In the aftermath of the final offensive, the human forces reflected on their recent successes and the progress made in the conflict. The victories had strengthened their position and provided a renewed sense of hope. The commanding officer addressed the team, acknowledging their efforts and highlighting the importance of their achievements. Your resilience and adaptability have made a significant difference. This victory is a testament to our strength and determination. The sniper, reflecting on the recent events, felt a deep sense of pride. The conflict was ongoing, but the progress made and the victories achieved provided a sense of purpose and resolve. As the team prepared for the next phase of the conflict, the sniper remained focused on his mission. The battle was far from over, but with each victory, they moved closer to achieving their objectives. The sniper was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, determined to continue the fight and secure a favorable outcome. The coalition's recent failures prompted a shift in their approach. Their strategic command introduced a new set of tactics designed to address the vulnerabilities exposed by the human defenses. The revised tactics included enhanced coordination between various units, integration of new technologies, and a focus on disrupting human communication and supply lines. The coalition aimed to overwhelm human forces with a combination of brute force and precision strikes. The human forces, aware of the coalition's new tactics, prepared to adapt their strategies. The sniper and his unit continued to provide critical intelligence on enemy movements and deployments. To counter the coalition's evolving tactics, the human command launched a covert operation aimed at sabotaging the coalition's new technological advancements. The operation was designed to disrupt enemy communications and logistics. The sniper was tasked with providing cover and intelligence for the operation. His role involved identifying key targets and ensuring the safety of the special operations teams involved in the sabotage mission. The covert operation was executed with precision. The sniper's accurate targeting and real-time intelligence played a crucial role in the success of the mission, resulting in significant disruptions to the coalition's new systems. In response to the human sabotage, the coalition launched a series of retaliatory strikes. They targeted human supply lines and communication hubs in an attempt to destabilize the human forces and regain their strategic advantage. The retaliatory strikes caused temporary disruptions, but the human forces quickly adapted. The sniper and his team worked to mitigate the impact of the coalition's actions, focusing on providing accurate intelligence and countering enemy movements. Despite the coalition's efforts, the human forces managed to recover and maintain their operational effectiveness. The conflict continued, but the coalition's retaliatory actions highlighted their desperation and the escalating nature of the war. The coalition initiated a large-scale assault on Sector 9, a critical area in the human defensive line. The sector was essential for maintaining supply routes and communication across the battlefield. The human forces, aware of the importance of Sector 9, fortified their defenses and prepared for the assault. The sniper was assigned to a strategic position to provide support and gather intelligence during the siege. The battle for Sector 9 was intense. The coalition's assault involved heavy bombardments and coordinated attacks. The sniper's role was crucial in targeting key enemy positions and providing real-time updates to the human command. As the battle for Sector 9 raged on, an unexpected alliance emerged. A faction of alien dissidents, disillusioned with the coalition's aggressive tactics, approached the human command with an offer of support. The dissidents provided valuable intelligence and assistance, helping the human forces to better understand the coalition's internal dynamics and weaknesses. Their support bolstered the human defenses and provided a new dimension to the conflict. The sniper, while initially skeptical, recognized the potential benefits of the alliance. He worked closely with the dissidents, using their information to enhance his strategic positioning and improve his effectiveness on the battlefield. The unexpected alliance and the human forces' continued resilience began to turn the tide of the conflict. The coalition's offensive operations faced increasing resistance, and their advances were gradually halted. The sniper's contributions were instrumental in the shift. His precise targeting and strategic insights helped to counter the coalition's efforts and disrupt their plans. The battle for Sector 9 was ultimately a turning point. The human forces, aided by their new allies, managed to repel the coalition's assault and secure a crucial victory. In the wake of their failed assault on Sector 9, the coalition's leadership was forced to reconsider their strategy. The combination of human resilience, the unexpected alliance, and the effective countermeasures led to a significant shift in the conflict. The coalition began to withdraw from key positions and reassess their approach. Their retreat marked a critical juncture in the war, as the human forces gained the upper hand and sought to capitalize on their recent successes. The sniper, reflecting on the coalition's retreat, felt a sense of accomplishment. The victory was hard-won, but it provided a glimmer of hope for a favorable resolution to the conflict. With the coalition in retreat, the human command focused on consolidating their gains and preparing for the next phase of the conflict. They worked to reinforce their positions and address any remaining vulnerabilities. The sniper continued his role, providing intelligence and support as the human forces solidified their defenses. His contributions remained vital to maintaining the momentum and ensuring the success of their operations. The human response to the coalition's retreat was characterized by a strategic shift towards offensive operations. The goal was to capitalize on the coalition's weakened position and press the advantage. Determined to prevent the coalition from regrouping and launching a counteroffensive, the human forces initiated a pursuit. They aimed to push the coalition back and disrupt their ability to reorganize and recover. The sniper was involved in the pursuit, providing critical support and intelligence to guide the human forces. His role was to identify and target key enemy assets, disrupting the coalition's efforts to regroup and resupply. The pursuit was a challenging endeavor. The coalition, despite their retreat, continued to resist and attempt to re-establish their position. The human forces, however, remained relentless in their efforts. As the pursuit continued, the coalition made a last stand in a fortified position. They deployed their remaining resources and troops in a desperate attempt to halt the human advance and reclaim lost ground. The final battle was intense and brutal. The human forces, determined to bring the conflict to a close, engaged in a high-stakes struggle against the coalition's desperate defenses. The sniper, positioned to provide crucial support, played a key role in the battle. His precise targeting and intelligence gathering were instrumental in overcoming the coalition's last-ditch efforts. The coalition's last stand was ultimately unsuccessful. The human forces, leveraging their recent victories and strategic advantages, overcame the coalition's defenses and secured a decisive victory. The resolution of the conflict marked a significant turning point. The coalition's defeat led to a period of reflection and reassessment, both for the human forces and their former adversaries. The sniper, reflecting on the resolution of the conflict, felt a sense of closure. The war had been arduous and challenging, but the outcome provided a measure of satisfaction and accomplishment. In the aftermath of the conflict, both sides faced the consequences of their actions. The coalition began to rebuild and reassess their strategies, while the human forces focused on recovery and consolidation. The sniper, having fulfilled his role in the conflict, took time to reflect on the experiences and challenges he had faced. The war had left its mark, but it had also highlighted the strength and resilience of the human spirit. The period of recovery was marked by efforts to rebuild and restore stability. The lessons learned from the conflict would shape future strategies and inform the ongoing efforts to maintain peace and security. As time passed, the sniper reflected on the broader implications of the conflict. The victory had been hard-won, but it demonstrated the importance of adaptability, resilience, and the will to persevere. The human forces had faced significant challenges and adversities, but they had emerged victorious. The conflict had tested their limits and showcased their ability to overcome even the most formidable adversaries. The sniper's role in the conflict had been crucial, and his contributions were acknowledged and respected. The victory provided a sense of pride and accomplishment, a testament to the effectiveness and determination of the human forces. With the conflict resolved, a new chapter began. The focus shifted towards rebuilding and establishing a new era of peace and cooperation. The lessons learned from the conflict would guide future endeavors and efforts to maintain stability. The sniper, continuing his service, embraced the challenges and opportunities of the new era. The experiences and insights gained during the conflict would shape his approach to future missions and endeavors. As the world moved forward, the legacy of the conflict remained, a reminder of the strength, resilience, and determination that had defined the struggle and led to a new dawn of hope and possibility. In the wake of the conflict, the primary focus for the human forces was rebuilding the war-torn areas and restoring normalcy. Infrastructure, homes, and communities needed urgent attention, and the task fell to engineers, architects, and planners working alongside military units. The sniper, although primarily a combatant, took part in the rebuilding efforts, providing security and helping to ensure that reconstruction could proceed without interference. His experience on the battlefield gave him a unique perspective on the importance of stability and security during this critical period. As the immediate needs of reconstruction were addressed, human leadership turned their attention to diplomatic outreach. They sought to establish new alliances and foster relationships with former adversaries, including those within the coalition. The aim was to prevent future conflicts and promote cooperation. Diplomatic envoys were dispatched to various alien factions, and discussions were held to address grievances and build mutual trust. The sniper, though not directly involved in diplomacy, was aware of the importance of these efforts in shaping a lasting peace. While the human forces worked on rebuilding and diplomacy, the coalition faced its own internal struggles. The defeat had led to political upheaval and infighting among the coalition's factions. Different groups within the coalition vied for power and influence, each with its own vision for the future. The internal discord further weakened their ability to mount a cohesive response or challenge to the new status quo. The sniper, through intelligence reports, remained informed about these developments. Understanding the coalition's internal dynamics helped the human command navigate the post-conflict landscape more effectively. As the immediate post-conflict period progressed, new threats began to emerge. Fractures within the coalition led to the rise of extremist factions and rogue elements seeking to exploit the power vacuum. These groups aimed to destabilize the region and challenge the newly established order. The human forces, including the sniper, had to remain vigilant against these emerging threats, adapting their strategies to address the evolving landscape of danger. With the rise of new threats, the sniper was given a new mission: monitoring and countering the activities of rogue factions and extremist groups. His skills and experience made him an ideal candidate for this challenging task. Operating in a more covert capacity, the sniper was tasked with gathering intelligence on these groups, identifying their leaders, and disrupting their operations. His mission required even greater precision and discretion, as the stakes were high and the environment was increasingly complex. One of the most dangerous rogue factions emerged as a significant threat. Known for their ruthless tactics and advanced technology, they quickly became a focal point of concern for the human command. The sniper's role became crucial in countering this new enemy. He worked to gather intelligence on their activities, uncover their plans, and neutralize key operatives. The challenge was formidable, but his resolve and expertise remained unwavering. The new enemy's activities culminated in a decisive confrontation known as the Battle of the Black Ridge. The battle was a major test of the human force's ability to handle the rising threat and protect their gains. The sniper was positioned at a critical vantage point, providing crucial support during the battle. His accurate targeting and real-time intelligence played a key role in overcoming the new enemy's advanced tactics and weaponry. Despite the intensity of the battle, the human forces managed to secure a victory, demonstrating their ability to adapt and overcome even the most formidable adversaries. In the aftermath of the Battle of the Black Ridge, the focus shifted to assessing the impact of the conflict and the effectiveness of the strategies employed. The battle had dealt a significant blow to the new enemy, but it also revealed areas for improvement. The sniper and his unit conducted a thorough analysis of the battle, identifying lessons learned and areas for enhancement. The experience further honed their skills and strategies, preparing them for future challenges. With the new enemy's threat significantly diminished, the human forces focused on consolidating their gains and strengthening their position. Efforts were made to reinforce alliances, enhance security measures, and address any lingering vulnerabilities. The sniper continued his role, contributing to the consolidation efforts and ensuring that the newly gained stability was maintained. His experience and expertise remain invaluable in navigating the complexities of the post-conflict environment. As the situation stabilized, the human leadership worked towards a sustainable path to peace. Efforts were made to formalize agreements with former adversaries, establish long-term security arrangements, and promote economic and cultural exchanges. The sniper, reflecting on the journey from conflict to peace, felt a sense of accomplishment. The war had tested their limits, but it had also forged new relationships and opportunities for a better future. The path to peace was not without its challenges, but the resilience and determination of the human forces and their allies provided hope for a more stable and harmonious future. As time passed, the legacy of the conflict became a subject of reflection and analysis. The experiences and lessons learned from the war were documented and studied, providing valuable insights for future generations. The sniper, having played a crucial role in the conflict, was recognized for his contributions. His actions and experiences became part of the broader narrative of resilience and courage that defined the war. The legacy of the conflict was a reminder of the cost of war and the importance of striving for peace. It highlighted the strength and determination of those who fought and the ongoing efforts to build a better future. With the conflict behind them, the focus shifted towards fostering a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. The human forces and their allies worked to build a more interconnected and collaborative interstellar community. Efforts were made to address lingering issues, promote cultural exchange, and establish frameworks for peaceful coexistence. The goal was to ensure that the lessons learned from the conflict would contribute to a more stable and prosperous future. The sniper, now a seasoned veteran, continued to serve in his role, contributing to the ongoing efforts to maintain peace and security. His experience and insights remained invaluable in navigating the evolving landscape of interstellar relations. As the new era unfolded, the future of humanity became a topic of contemplation and aspiration. The experiences of the conflict had shaped their identity and priorities, guiding their path forward. The human forces, having demonstrated their resilience and adaptability, looked towards a future marked by growth, exploration, and cooperation. The lessons learned from the conflict will continue to inform their strategies and aspirations. The sniper, reflecting on the journey from the battlefield to the present, felt a sense of pride in the progress made. The future held both challenges and opportunities, and he remained committed to contributing to the ongoing pursuit of peace and prosperity. Despite the progress made, the universe remained a place of uncertainty and danger. Unseen threats and emerging challenges continued to loom on the horizon, requiring vigilance and preparedness. The sniper, ever aware of the potential for new conflicts, remained dedicated to his role. His experience and expertise ensured that he was ready to address any unforeseen challenges and protect the hard-won peace. The ongoing commitment to security and stability was a testament to the resilience and determination of those who had faced and overcome adversity. The future, while uncertain, was guided by a resolve to build a better and more secure world. As the sniper looked back on his journey, he reflected on the complexities of war, the challenges faced, and the victories achieved. The conflict had been a defining experience, shaping his perspective and forging his path. The lessons learned and the relationships built during the war provided a foundation for future endeavors. The sniper's legacy was one of courage, precision, and an unwavering commitment to protecting those he served. In the end, the conflict was not just a series of battles, but a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought. The sniper's story was a reminder of the cost of war and the importance of striving for peace and understanding. The final reflection was a blend of pride and humility, acknowledging the journey from conflict to a new era of cooperation and possibility. The future, though uncertain, held promise, and the lessons of the past would guide the way forward. With the conflict and its aftermath, both the coalition and human forces turned their attention to technological advancements. The war had demonstrated the importance of innovation, and both sides sought to develop new technologies to gain an edge in future conflicts. Human scientists and engineers collaborated on developing advanced weaponry, improved defensive systems, and cutting-edge surveillance technologies. These advancements were not only aimed at enhancing their own capabilities, but also at ensuring that any potential threats could be addressed swiftly and effectively. The sniper, although not directly involved in the research, was keenly aware of the implications. He understood that technological superiority could shift the balance of power and that staying ahead in this regard was crucial for maintaining security. As the post-conflict era progressed, diplomacy played a pivotal role in the reconstruction efforts. Human leaders and diplomats worked tirelessly to negotiate agreements, secure funding, and facilitate the rebuilding of devastated regions. The process involved not only practical aspects of reconstruction, but also delicate negotiations with various factions and species. The goal was to create a stable environment conducive to growth and cooperation. The sniper, while primarily focused on security, observed the diplomatic efforts with interest. He recognized the importance of these initiatives in shaping the long-term stability of the region and the broader interstellar community. The media emerged as a powerful force in shaping public perception and influencing the course of events. News reports, propaganda, and media coverage played a significant role in framing the narrative of the conflict and its aftermath. Human media outlets, alongside their alien counterparts, provided coverage of the ongoing reconstruction efforts, diplomatic negotiations, and technological advancements. The portrayal of these events impacted public opinion and international relations. The sniper, accustomed to operating in the shadows, found the media's role both fascinating and formidable. He understood that the portrayal of events could shape perceptions and influence the course of future conflicts. In response to their defeat, the coalition embarked on a process of adaptation and reform. Recognizing the need to address the weaknesses exposed by the conflict, they sought to improve their military strategies, technology, and internal cohesion. This period of adaptation involved re-evaluating tactics, updating weaponry, and fostering better coordination among their various factions. The coalition's goal was to emerge stronger and more resilient, prepared for any future challenges. The sniper and his allies kept a close watch on these developments. Understanding the coalition's adaptation efforts was essential for anticipating potential threats and preparing effective countermeasures. The human forces continued to build and strengthen alliances with former adversaries and neutral parties. These new alliances were seen as crucial for maintaining peace and ensuring mutual security. Diplomatic efforts focused on establishing formal agreements, promoting joint ventures, and fostering cultural exchanges. The aim was to create a network of allies capable of addressing common threats and promoting stability. The sniper's role in this context was more indirect. His contributions to security and intelligence supported the broader efforts of diplomacy and alliance building, ensuring that the new relationships could be maintained effectively. As time passed, the legacy of the sniper and his contributions became a subject of reflection and recognition. His actions during the conflict had made a significant impact, and his story was remembered as a testament to the courage and skill of the human forces. Commemorations and awards were presented to honor those who had played pivotal roles in the conflict. The sniper's role was celebrated, and his achievements were acknowledged as a key factor in the success of their efforts. Despite the recognition, the sniper remained humble, viewing his actions as part of a larger collective effort. His focus continued to be on ensuring the security and stability of the region. With increasing focus on diplomacy and cooperation, efforts were made to integrate and celebrate the diverse cultures of the various species involved. Cultural exchange programs, joint celebrations, and collaborative projects aimed to foster mutual understanding and respect. The sniper observed these developments with interest, recognizing the importance of cultural integration in promoting long-term peace. The blending of traditions and values contributed to a richer, more interconnected interstellar community. As the human forces adjusted to the new era, there was a renewed focus on understanding their own place in the interstellar community. Reflections on the conflict, its causes, and its consequences were explored in various forums, including academic studies, public discussions, and personal reflections. The sniper, while primarily focused on his role, participated in discussions and provided insights from his perspective. His experiences offered valuable lessons and contributed to a deeper understanding of the complexities of interstellar conflict and peace. With the lessons of the conflict fresh in their minds, both the human forces and their allies looked towards the future of warfare. Discussions and research focused on the evolving nature of conflict, including the potential for new technologies, strategies, and threats. The sniper, drawing from his experience, contributed to discussions on the future of warfare. His insights into precision tactics, covert operations, and the psychological aspects of conflict provided valuable input for shaping future strategies. As a seasoned veteran, the sniper played a role in mentoring and guiding newer generations of soldiers and operatives. Sharing his experiences and lessons learned from the conflict, he helped prepare the next generation for future challenges. The mentorship involved not only tactical training, but also discussions on the broader aspects of warfare, including ethics, strategy, and psychological resilience. The sniper's guidance was instrumental in shaping the future leaders of the human forces. Even as the region stabilized, new threats began to emerge on the fringes of known space. These threats, while not as immediate as the previous conflicts, posed potential challenges that required vigilance and preparedness. The sniper, ever attuned to the evolving landscape of interstellar security, remained alert to these new threats. His role involved monitoring developments, assessing potential risks, and preparing to address any emerging dangers. As the interstellar community continued to evolve, a global perspective on security and cooperation became increasingly important. Efforts were made to address not only regional issues, but also broader challenges that affected multiple species and planets. The sniper, while primarily focused on tactical and operational aspects, understood the significance of a global perspective. His work contributed to the broader efforts of maintaining peace and stability across the interstellar community. As the years passed, the legacy of the conflict and its resolution became a central theme in discussions about peace and security. The experiences and lessons learned from the conflict provided a foundation for building a more stable and harmonious interstellar community. The sniper's legacy was intertwined with this broader narrative, representing the resilience and determination of those who had faced and overcome adversity. His contributions to peace and security were remembered and celebrated as part of the ongoing pursuit of a better future. Despite the progress made, the need for ongoing vigilance remained. The universe was a complex and ever-changing place, and ensuring continued stability and security required constant attention and adaptation. The sniper, as a veteran and a key figure in the efforts to maintain peace, continued to uphold the principles of vigilance and preparedness. His role was crucial in addressing any potential threats and ensuring that the hard-won peace was preserved. As the interstellar community entered a new era, reflections on the journey from conflict to peace became a source of inspiration and insight. The experiences of the conflict, the efforts of those who fought, and the lessons learned shaped the present and future. The sniper, looking back on his journey, felt a deep sense of accomplishment and purpose. His role in the conflict and its aftermath had been a significant part of a larger narrative of resilience, courage, and hope. In the end, the journey was a testament to the strength and determination of those who had faced adversity and emerged victorious. The future, while uncertain, held promise, and the lessons of the past would continue to guide the way forward. As peace settled over the interstellar community, the tranquility was deceptive. While major conflicts had subsided, whispers of subtle and elusive threats began to surface. These new dangers were not as overt as previous confrontations, but were insidious in their potential to destabilize the region. The sniper, ever vigilant, paid close attention to these emerging threats. His extensive experience in detecting and neutralizing hidden dangers made him well-suited for addressing these more nuanced risks. The intelligence he gathered provided crucial insights into the nature of these threats, ensuring that they could be managed effectively before they escalated. The new era of peace also meant a focus on training and development for the next generation of soldiers and operatives. The training grounds became a hub of activity, where recruits were prepared for both conventional and unconventional scenarios. The sniper took an active role in these training programs. His experience and expertise were invaluable in imparting lessons on precision, strategy, and the mental resilience required for high-stakes operations. His presence on the training ground served as an inspiration to young recruits, who learned from his example and applied his teachings to their own preparations. Despite the ongoing efforts to maintain peace, diplomatic challenges persisted. Negotiations between different factions and species continue to be complex and fraught with difficulty. The delicate balance of alliances and agreements required constant attention and adjustment. The sniper, while primarily focused on security, understood the importance of these diplomatic efforts. His role in providing intelligence and security ensured that the diplomatic processes could proceed with fewer disruptions. His contributions helped facilitate smoother negotiations and fostered an environment conducive to collaboration and mutual understanding. The aftermath of the conflict took a psychological toll on many individuals, including veterans and civilians. The mental and emotional impact of war was profound, and efforts to address these issues became a priority for the interstellar community. Support systems, counseling services, and mental health initiatives were established to help those affected by the conflict. The sniper, aware of the psychological challenges faced by himself and others, participated in initiatives aimed at promoting mental well-being. His experiences provided valuable insights into the psychological aspects of conflict and recovery. In the quest for continued security and efficiency, technological innovations became a central focus. Both the human forces and their allies invested in developing new technologies that could enhance their capabilities and address emerging challenges. The sniper, though not directly involved in technology development, kept abreast of the latest advancements. His knowledge of tactical and operational needs informed the direction of technological research, ensuring that innovations were aligned with practical requirements and could be effectively integrated into existing systems. The integration of diverse cultures continued to be an important aspect of the post-conflict era. Efforts to promote understanding and respect among different species contributed to a more harmonious interstellar community. The sniper observed these cultural exchanges with interest. He recognized that fostering mutual respect and understanding was essential for long-term peace and stability. His interactions with individuals from various backgrounds enriched his perspective and reinforced the importance of cultural integration in maintaining a unified and peaceful interstellar society. As the interstellar community evolved, new leaders emerged to guide the way forward. These leaders, shaped by the experiences of the conflict and its aftermath, brought fresh perspectives and ideas to the table. The sniper, while not a political figure, played a role in supporting these new leaders. His insights and experience provided valuable guidance as they navigated the complexities of leadership and decision-making in a changing environment. The collaboration between the sniper and the new leadership contributed to the continued success and stability of the region. The resilience of the human spirit became a central theme in the post-conflict era. Stories of courage, determination, and perseverance served as a source of inspiration for individuals across the interstellar community. The sniper's own journey was emblematic of this resilience. His ability to adapt, overcome challenges, and contribute to peace and security reflected the broader spirit of determination that characterized the human response to adversity. His story continued to inspire others and reaffirm the strength and endurance of the human spirit. The evolving nature of conflict was a topic of ongoing discussion and analysis. The interstellar community recognized that new forms of conflict could arise, and efforts were made to anticipate and prepare for potential challenges. The sniper, with his extensive experience in various aspects of warfare, contributed to these discussions. His insights into the changing dynamics of conflict and his ability to adapt to new situations were valuable in shaping strategies and preparedness for future scenarios. As time passed, the legacy of the sniper and his contributions to the conflict and its resolution became a lasting part of the interstellar narrative. His role in shaping the course of events, his dedication to his mission, and his impact on those around him were remembered and celebrated. The sniper's legacy was one of courage, precision, and unwavering commitment. His contributions to peace, security, and the ongoing efforts to maintain stability were acknowledged as a significant part of the broader story of the interstellar community. His impact would be felt for generations to come, and his story would continue to inspire those who followed in his footsteps.